I'm Peter Palashevsky. These are my works. This is the first show that I've had since my last two big shows in Chicago. This is a continuation of all my work and research that I've done over the last 30 years. I'm a guy who came from the corporate side, but I've always pursued a bilateral arts involvement in the creation of the works, in being on the other side, on the museum side as on one of the boards, and doing marketing also for various artistic institutions. So I have a kind of a 360-degree understanding of the art world. And the art world itself is the subject of all these works. The contemporary art world that we see, both the concrete things as well as the inconcrete things. By concrete, I mean the lighting fixtures. By inconcrete, I would say the lighting itself that falls on the floor or on the works is an ephemeral thing. It's inconcrete. So the works have everything from the world of contemporary art in them. Both concrete things, like I said, as the lighting fixtures or frames or canvases or seating arrangements that people use to rest. At the same time, there's a lot of inconcrete things there, like shadows, like words, like light itself. And so this is the essence of this exhibit. The exhibit is called Light, Darkness, Desire. The light and the darkness is pretty obvious. The desire is a universal thing. It's probably the most common human feeling, to desire something, to desire. And in the world of contemporary art, we all desire. The artist desires to share his work with the audience. The audience, the collectors, desire to purchase the pieces. The people that come to this thing desire to learn and to understand. It's desire. It's desire that guides the principles of this exhibit, along with light, darkness, all that. And this whole thing encapsulates the world of contemporary art, including some of the negative things, such as frustration, as well as the positive things. Exaltation, when you get a show, when you sell something, when somebody loves your work. So it covers the light and the dark, covers all aspects of the world of art. The exaltation and the sadness, let's say. It's like sports in a way, right? And so this is the essence of the work, and the work covers the world of contemporary art as we experience it. Well, black and white, because I never wanted to deal with color. Color detracts from. Color can be very beautiful, and then it seduces you. Black and white is pretty beautiful. I mean, here we are in this event where everyone that is going to come here, we're doing this before the event starts, will be dressed in black and white. So black and white is beautiful, but black and white has already everything in it, because black and white has all the shades between black and white. So we don't really need color, and I was never attracted to color, although I personally love color in my home. My walls are colored, I love that. But my work has always been, I felt it was more reductive and more sincere if it didn't get too involved in dazzling your eyes with beautiful colors. Now this work is also interesting because it both reaffirms and separates the boundaries between cinema, photography, and painting. Now how does it do that? Well, you take a look at some of my horizontal pieces, and the thing that you become aware of, first of all, is that you're not standing in front of a piece looking at it. You are reading the piece from left to right. And when you read a piece, and the pieces have an implication of a story, a narrative, just like a film does. In fact, some of your pieces are composed of 3 individual segments, and the segments are almost like acts. You know that films are based on screenplays, and screenplays have 3 acts. And so some of my long horizontal pieces have 3 acts, and you can separate them. You can even change the ending if you want to, which is very, very interesting. But these are some of the ways that the boundaries between cinema, photography, and art are both explicitly separated as well as united at the same time. Very interesting in that respect. I think here there's got to be like 12, of which we have about 6 paintings and about seven large-scale photographs. The large-scale photographs are not limited edition. There's only 1 or 2 that are limited edition, but all of them are unique works of art. So one of the things that I try to tell everyone about art, because people say, oh, what is art and how do artists work? You know, all artists work in a space between. So I talk about this concept of a space between. For example, the surrealists, you know, Salvador Dali and all that, they worked in that space between being awake and unawake. So they emphasized dreams. The dreams were distorted. That's why it's called surrealism, right? It's not real, it's surreal. And they emphasized this as a way of creating a whole new body of language in the art, right? So working in a certain space. Andy Warhol worked between the space of commercial art and high art, and he messed with the boundaries of that. He liked to mix it up. And so these works also, they expand and mess with the boundaries between one thing or another. This, for example, looks on the surface like it could be an architectural drawing. The fine lines could be an architectural drawing. On the other hand, it's really rough painting, like the kind that you would use to test a wall before you paint the wall. Look at how rough this thing is. It looks like somebody just dabbed something on it, right? So this dialogue between something very fine and specific and something very rough is one of the things that give these works power. Now you may ask, well, how does this refer to what you were saying earlier? Well, if you don't recognize it right away, this is a inverted, what do you call it? An easel. This is an easel that artists put their paintings on, but it's sideways. And so it forms this enormous black shape that reminds you of the great abstract expressionist painters of the 50s and the 60s, but at the same time, it's just one more thing that you're exploring. It's the easel component, which is, after all, the easel is a kind of a metaphor for all art, you know? And also, look at this. This is, again, light. This is the gradient of light, which is in a way, a kind of a metaphor for what is real. Because whether you're printing a box of cereal or whether you are printing a fine art photograph, you have to find just the right tone so that it's not too dark or too light. So the scale, the grayscale, which is a standard graphic or photographic scale that you measure to get the right tendency, the right potency, is in a way it's a symbol for what is real and what is not. The work is poetic for all those reasons that I've just told you. And again, light, darkness, all the themes that I'm exploring. So this work here is a typical example of something that, of some of the issues that I'm working with. Memory, history, both the past memory, as well as current reality. Does that sound like just a lot of talk? Let me help you. For example, here we have these little flowers floating on a pond. these flowers are barely recognizable, but they're actually Monet's flowers from his late period that he did in his garden. And coincidentally, this part here is a reflection of our own Museum of Contemporary Art, our own Museum of Modern Art, which has pools in front of it and also has the same kind of floating flowers, that float in tropical weather on a pond. And so what you got here is a reference between an old masterwork and a contemporary museum that houses that kind of masterwork. And it's a dialogue almost between the content and the capsule that contains that material, because the content is the artwork that goes inside of museums. The capsule that contains it are the museums. It's kind of like a car. A car is the capsule, and we human beings enter into the car, right? Well, museums they're containers, and this is the content within the container. So it's a very interesting philosophical approach that combines history, memory of old pictures that you have seen in your art books or whatever on Monet, and how they manage to, again, be interactive with something poetic like this. Because this is not the Museum of Modern Art. This is a reflection of the Museum of Modern Art, with the water kind of, messy and the little flowers in there. And so it's almost as if you were combining two histories together. This is what's so beautiful and so poetic about this work.
Beautiful. Which one next?
Oh, they can do this one here.